Have you ever bought something just so later on you regret it? Or have you ever got mad or jealous at your significant other just because they cheated on you in your dream? And last but not least, have you ever think it is acceptable to put pineapple on pizza? If the answer is yes, I have to tell you, you don't think as rational as you think you are. And don't worry, you are not the only one. We all don't think as rational as we think we are. My name is Son Nguyen, and in this video, I'm gonna tell you everything about rationality. Well, not everything, but many. The concept of rationality has been around for ages and broadly discussed since. From the ancient Greek with famous names like Pythagoras, who invented Pythagoras' theorem, to the two superstar philosophers Plato and Aristotle, which then got followed by the Age of Reason, which people usually remember as the Enlightenment. Here we have the notable names like Kant, Descartes, or Spinoza. Since it has been around for such a long time, the concept of rationality has been defined and redefined, then divided into different categories, and even so, got readjusted to fit some specific faculties, etc. and etc. So, if we dig really deep into this topic, it can get really complicated. But in an essence, there are only two different kinds of rationality, namely instrumental rationality and epistemic rationality. For instrumental rationality, it's more about the coherence between your actions and your goal. In between, there are values which include everything that you care about. To make it easier to understand, we can put it into an analogy of driving a car. So, your goal is the destination. Everything you do on the steering wheel will lead you to the goal. So, some of you might think that, well, if I'm along the way, I deliberately hit on some other cars and injured them, but in the end, I still arrive at the destination. Am I still rational? Oh, well, unfortunately, no. As I mentioned before, values include everything that you care about. And if you are like us, or the majority of the people out there, we care about other people's and their well being. So, in the act of achieving your goal, you sacrifice others' people well-being. You are being irrational. On the contrary, epistemic rationality will focus more on the aspect of getting an accurate representation of the world while trying to be as objective as possible. This process we can think of as like drawing a map. So the map itself does not always look exactly like how the territory look. But the important thing is when there are some errors or there are some room for improvement, the map immediately will be fixed and redraw until it's got an improvement and get better reflection on the reality. So here is where all the scientific method lay their ground. Since I'm more interested in acquiring new knowledge and get a better understanding about the world, so most of the time in this channel, you will hear me talking about topics under the perspective of epistemic rationality. So this is something important that you should keep in mind. Okay, it's enough about all of this definition. In the end, some of you might get a little bit overwhelmed already, and some of you might feel like, yeah, I know what rationality is. I know when I think irrational. Well, Aren't you though? So let's give it a test and see how rational we are, alright? So here is a quiz. This has been around for, I guess, 5, 6 years or more. But the reason why I choose is still because this is the best reflection on how our human brains work. So you ready for the question? The ball and the bat cost €1.10. The bat costs €1 more than the ball. So how much does the ball cost? It's 10 cents, right? It's pretty obvious. Like if the bat is €1, the ball is 10 cents, is €1.10. It's as simple as it is. Unfortunately, the answer is 5 cents. So let's break it down in a basic math equation form so everybody can follow it together. So let's think the bat as x and the ball as y. So we have x plus y equal 110. And x minus y is 100. So if we subtract these two equations to each other, we got 2y equal 10. Therefore, y equal 5. It's pretty simple, right? So how is it possible that we make such a basic mistake? Well, the short answer I can give you is biases. As rational as we might think we are, they're always influencing factors that affect our decision making or behavior from the back of our brain. Let's take this specific case for example. The question itself is not hard. It actually looks so easy that it doesn't trigger our thinking brain, which makes us rely on our intuition. Well, when the intuition gets triggered, it's usually gonna short circuit and help us in saving energy in the process of thinking. Which then, for example, in this case, when we hear that the bat costs €1 more than the ball, we assume that the bat costs €1. Intuition in and of itself is not bad. It actually is really beneficial when it comes to deal with repetitive tasks or facing problems that you have encountered before. This can save you a tremendous amount of time and energy while still giving you the best possible result. However, when it comes to more complicated and newer problems, intuition actually fails to shine and turn itself into biases. So bias, you can think of it as like an Instagram filter. It can make you everything look better. It can make it look worse. You can look like a cat or you have glasses even though you don't. So it doesn't truly represent the reality. So in order to improve our reasoning and thinking, we have to try our best to leave the biases out the way. And the best way to do this is learn about that and be aware of it when we're thinking. But don't worry, we all are on the same road. Even the most intelligent people on earth, they have their own bias and irrational thoughts. So let's take for example Sigmund Freud, who we all know is the father of psychoanalysis and who then laid the foundation for modern psychology and psychotherapy. In the book Freud and Jung on Religion by Michael Palmer, he wrote a letter to Jung to express his fear of the number 61 and 62. He got his phone number and in the number 6 and 2, while one time he got assigned a hotel room with the number 31, which numerically is half of the number 62. So he told Young that he's afraid that he's gonna die around the age of 61 and 62. And guess how old he was when he died? Exactly, he was 83. The point of the story is we're not as rational as we think we are. Everybody have their own fraudulent thoughts and idea, while nobody can say for sure something is absolutely true. The best bet we have to have the most accurate representation of the world is to learn how to think instead of what to think. Here, I will give you one tool that you can use today to support and improve your thinking process, which is called self criticization. As you know, when we are facing with an opposing opinion, we tend to criticize and look out for their errors instead of looking at the points or positive side that they have, and vice versa for our side. This is something called as choice supportive bias. So what is basically mean is when you have make a decision or a choice, you have the tendency to ascribe only the positive thing on your side or more than it should be, while giving only the negative things to the other side. So what I would like you to do here today is to play the devil advocate. So first, come up with an opinion or an idea that you have. It can be something really simple and basic, something like Apple is better than Android, or something like vegetable better than meat, something along that line. Now what you should do is you're gonna be playing on the other side, the opposing side. Now you're gonna look for the negative things of your own opinion or your ideas, while at the same time you're gonna look for the positive or the strong arguments of the opposing side that you're actually playing on. So this practice will help you to be more objective while getting into an argument or seeing a problem. You will notice both of the negative and positive of your side, your opinion, while the same thing happened to the opposing side. You're aware of their positive and negatives. So I know this might feel really uncomfortable to look into the opposing side, to read their articles or anything. I have been there and done that a lot of time. But this is something really useful if you can master. It can give you a really objective view on whatever matter there is. This is just one toolkit in the box, while there are many more that I will cover in the future episode. So to make sure you don't miss out any of them, please press the subscribe button and don't forget to turn on the bell notification. Thank you so much to be with me throughout the whole video, and I will see you in the next episode.